Yes. Hello everyone, thanks for those who have already joined. The space will begin at 7 p.m. So, in the meantime, you can invite your colleagues to log in as also a panelist come on board.
Hey, man. Simon, you join in and I put you as co-host, eh? Hey, okay. Let me check.
Hello, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. All right, everybody, go ahead and have a seat. How's everybody doing today? How about Tim Spicer? I am here with students at Wakefield High School in Arlington, Virginia. And we've got students tuning in from all across America, from kindergarten through 12th grade. And I am just so glad that all could join us today. And I want to thank Wakefield for being such an outstanding host. Give yourself a big round of applause. Now, I know that for many of you, today is the first day of school. And for those of you in kindergarten or starting middle or high school, it's your first day in a new school, so it's understandable if you're a little nervous. I imagine there's some seniors out there who are feeling pretty good right now. Just one more year to go. And no matter what grade you're in, some of you are probably wishing it were still summer, and you could have stayed in bed just a little bit longer this morning. I know that feeling. When I was young, my family lived overseas. I lived in Indonesia for a few years. And my mother, she didn't have the money to send me where all the American kids went to school. But she thought it was important for me to keep up with an American education. So she decided to teach me extra lessons herself, Monday through Friday. But because she had to go to work, the only time she could do it was at 4:30 in the morning. Now, as you might imagine, I wasn't too happy about getting up that early. A lot of times I'd fall asleep right there at the kitchen table. But whenever I complained, my mother would just give me one of those looks and she'd say, "This is no picnic for me either, Buster." So I know that some of you are still adjusting to being back in school, but I'm here today because I have something important to discuss with you. I'm here because I want to talk with you about your education and what's expected of all of you in this new school year. I've given a lot of speeches about education, and I've talked about responsibility a lot. I've talked about teachers' responsibility for inspiring students and pushing you to learn. I've talked about your parents' responsibility for making sure you stay on track and you get your homework done and don't spend every waking hour in front of the TV or with the Xbox. I've talked a lot about your government's responsibility for setting high standards and supporting teachers and principals and turning around schools that aren't working, where students aren't getting the opportunities that they deserve. But at the end of the day, we can have the most dedicated teachers, the most supportive parents, the best schools in the world, and none of it will make a difference. None of it will matter unless all of you fulfill your responsibilities. Unless you show up to those schools, unless you pay attention to those teachers, unless you listen to your parents and grandparents and other adults and put in the hard work it takes to succeed. That's what I want to focus on today. The responsibility each of you has for your education. I want to start with the responsibility you have to yourself. Every single one of you has something that you're good at. Every single one of you has something to offer. And you have a responsibility to yourself to discover what that is. That's the opportunity an education can provide. Maybe you could be a great writer, maybe even good enough to write a book or articles in a newspaper, but you might not know it until you write that English paper, that English class paper that's assigned to you. Maybe you could be an innovator or an inventor, maybe even good enough to come up with the next iPhone or the new medicine or vaccine, but you might not know it until you do your project for your science class. Maybe you could be a mayor or a senator or a Supreme Court justice, but you might not know that until you join student government or the debate team. And no matter what you want to do with your life, I guarantee that you'll need an education to do it. You want to be a doctor or a teacher or a police officer? You want to be a nurse or an architect, a lawyer or a member of our military? You're going to need a good education for every single one of those careers. You cannot drop out of school and just drop into a good job. You've got to train for it and work for it and learn for it. And this isn't just important for your own life and your own future. What you make of your education will decide nothing less than the future of this country. The future of America depends on you. What you're learning in school today will determine whether we as a nation can meet our greatest challenges in the future. You'll need the knowledge and problem-solving skills you learn in science and math to cure diseases like cancer and AIDS, and to develop new energy technologies and protect our environment. You'll need the insights and critical thinking skills you gain in history and social studies to fight poverty and homelessness, crime and discrimination, and make our nation more fair and more free. You'll need the creativity and ingenuity you develop in all your classes to build new companies. They'll create new jobs and boost our economy. We need every single one of you to develop your talents and your skills and your intellect so you can help us old folks solve our most difficult problems. If you don't do that, if you quit on school, you're not just quitting on yourself, you're quitting on your country. I know it's not always easy to do well in school. I know a lot of you have challenges in your lives right now that can make it hard to focus on your schoolwork. I get it. I know what it's like. My father left my family when I was 2 years old. And I was raised by a single mom who had to work and who struggled at times to pay the bills and wasn't always able to give us the things that other kids had. There were times when I missed having a father in my life. There were times when I was lonely and I felt like I didn't fit in. So I wasn't always as focused as I should have been on school. And I did some things that I'm not proud of. And I got in more trouble than I should have. And my life could have easily taken a turn for the worse. But I was lucky. I got a lot of second chances, and I had the opportunity to go to college and law school and follow my dreams. My wife, our First Lady, Michelle Obama, she has a similar story. Neither of her parents had gone to college, and they didn't have a lot of money. But they worked hard, and she worked hard so that she could go to the best schools in this country. Some of you might not have those advantages. Maybe you don't have adults in your life who give you the support that you need. Maybe someone in your family has lost their job and there's not enough money to go around. Maybe you live in a neighborhood where you don't feel safe or have friends who are pressuring you to do things you know aren't right. But at the end of the day, the circumstances of your life, what you look like, where you come from, how much money you have, what you've got going on at home, none of that is an excuse for neglecting your homework or having a bad attitude in school. That's no excuse for talking back to your teacher or cutting class or dropping out of school. There is no excuse for not trying. Where you are right now doesn't have to determine where you'll end up. No one's written your destiny for you. Because here in America, you write your own destiny. You make your own future. That's what young people like you are doing every day all across America. Young people like Jasmine Perez from Roma, Texas. Jasmine didn't speak English when she first started school. Neither of her parents had gone to college, but she worked hard, earned good grades, and got a scholarship to Brown University, is now in graduate school studying public health, on her way to becoming Dr. Jasmine Perez. I'm thinking about Andoni Schultz from Los Altos, California, who's fought brain cancer since he was 3. He's had to endure all sorts of treatments and surgeries, one of which affected his memory, so it took him much longer, hundreds of extra hours to do his schoolwork. But he never fell behind. He's headed to college this fall. And then there's Chantel Steve from my hometown of Chicago, Illinois. Even when bouncing from foster home to foster home in the toughest neighborhoods in the city, she managed to get a job at a local health care center, start a program to keep young people out of gangs, and she's on track to graduate high school with honors and go on to college. And Jasmine, Andoni, and Chantel aren't any different from any of you. They face challenges in their lives just like you do. In some cases, they've got it a lot worse off than many of you. But they refuse to give up. They chose to take responsibility for their lives, for their education, and set goals for themselves. And I expect all of you to do the same. And that's why today I'm calling on each of you to set your own goals for your education and do everything you can to meet them. Your goal can be something as simple as doing all your homework, paying attention in class, or spending some time each day reading a book. Maybe you'll decide to get involved in an extracurricular activity or volunteer in your community. Maybe you'll decide to stand up for kids who are being teased or bullied because of who they are or how they look. Because you believe, like I do, that all young people deserve a safe environment to study and learn. Maybe you'll decide to take better care of yourself so you can be more ready to learn. And along those lines, by the way, I hope all of you are washing your hands a lot and that you stay home from school when you don't feel well so we can keep people from getting the flu this fall and winter. But whatever you resolve to do, I want you to commit to it. I want you to really work at it. I know that sometimes you get that sense from TV that you can be rich and successful without any hard work. That your ticket to success is through rapping or basketball or being a reality TV star. Chances are you're not going to be any of those things. The truth is, being successful is hard. You won't love every subject that you study. You won't click with every teacher that you have. Not every homework assignment will seem completely relevant to your life right at this minute. And you won't necessarily succeed at everything the first time you try. That's okay. Some of the most successful people in the world are the ones who've had the most failures. J.K. Rowling, who wrote Harry Potter. Her first Harry Potter book was rejected 12 times before it was finally published. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. He lost hundreds of games and missed thousands of shots during his career. But he once said, I have failed over and over and over again in my life, and that's why I succeed. These people succeeded because they understood that you can't let your failures define you. You have to let your failures teach you. You have to let them show you what to do differently the next time. So if you get into trouble, that doesn't mean you're a troublemaker. It means you need to try harder to act right. If you get a bad grade, that doesn't mean you're stupid. It just means you need to spend more time studying. No one's born being good at all things. You become good at things through hard work. You're not a varsity athlete the first time you play a new sport. You don't hit every note the first time you sing a song. You've got to practice. The same principle applies to your schoolwork. You might have to do a math problem a few times before you get it right. You might have to read something a few times before you understand it. You definitely have to do a few drafts of a paper before it's good enough to hand in. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it. I do that every day. Asking for help isn't a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. Because it shows you have the courage to admit when you don't know something, and that then allows you to learn something new. So find an adult that you trust, a parent, a grandparent, or a teacher, a coach, or a counselor, and ask them to help you stay on track to meet your goals. And even when you're struggling, even when you're discouraged, and you feel like other people have given up on you, don't ever give up on yourself. Because when you give up on yourself, you give up on your country. The story of America isn't about people who quit when things got tough. It's about people who kept going, who tried harder, who loved their country too much to do anything less than their best. It's the story of students who sat where you sit 250 years ago and went on to wage a revolution, and they founded this nation. Young people. Students who sat where you sit 75 years ago, who overcame a depression and won a world war, who fought for civil rights and put a man on the moon. Students who sat where you sit 20 years ago, who founded Google and Twitter and Facebook and changed the way we communicate with each other. So today, I want to ask all of you, what's your contribution going to be? What problems are you going to solve? What discoveries will you make? What will a president who comes here in 20 or 50 or 100 years say about what all of you did for this country? Now, your families, your teachers, and I are doing everything we can to make sure you have the education you need to answer these questions. I'm working hard to fix up your classrooms and get you the books and the equipment and the computers you need to learn. But you've got to do your part too. So I expect all of you to get serious this year. I expect you to put your best effort into everything you do. I expect great things from each of you. So don't let us down. Don't let your family down or your country down. Most of all, don't let yourself down.
Yes, Bright. Could you confirm that you can hear me?
God bless. God bless America.
All right,
Bright?
Simon, I can hear you, and I think I have, as I was playing that speech from Obama, I have brought on board everyone, Alfred, our moderator, and our two speakers who will be introduced by our moderator. We are happy to have everyone on board. On my end, Bright, Natumanya, and Simon, we are glad to have you. Simon, we can hear you, and maybe after you say whatever you're saying, Simon, you can hand over to Alfred so that we can start. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Bright. Bright Natumanya is an advocate of the High Court and is our team leader at the Judicial Sound Exponent. I would like to confirm
would like to confirm whether Counsel Alfred and Counsel Grace can hear me on my end, as I'm allowing Linda to join.
Yes, I can hear you. I see as if Linda is on. Maybe she can please confirm whether she can hear.
Yes, welcome. Welcome on board, Alfred. I think you can take it on from there as your space. And yeah, over to you, Alfred. I see Linda and Grace there on call. Thank you.
Welcome. Just welcome everyone who has come on board. Just for the clarification, this is the space for the young lawyers who are at the back course now, or even intend to do the back course in the near future. So this is their space, and we are glad to have them to share with them. For those who have not yet joined, please, you could share the link with others to join. They could come on board with time. So I see our speakers are currently on board. I'd like to introduce them in a few minutes, and then we start because maybe you don't have enough time. So one of our speakers is Grace. Grace is an advocate working with Aluma Associated Advocates. She obtained her law degree from UCU and then went to LDC, where she obtained the first class. She was in the director's list, and besides being an advocate, she's currently a lecturer at KIU. So yes, at KIU. So she's lucky living one of my dreams. I love lecturing, but I'm yet to get there. Then we also have Linda. Linda is also an advocate. Aine Linda Agnes. I could nickname her Triple A. She's an advocate working with Shunube Msoka and Company Advocates. Some corporate firm. I think most of you have heard about it. Linda went to Makerere. That's where she obtained her law degree from. Then she joined LDC, and she was the overall best student. She's still on the director's list. I hope one of you who is on this space will be taking on her slot this come next year. So you see now we have all heard that LDC's hard, LDC's tough. I think even me when I made it like LDC's hard, but hard is what makes it fun. But then, besides what you have heard of LDC being hard, you have even seen the results where results come out, and you're seeing like a pass rate of maybe 38%, 48%. Then with us as having a few retakes to redo. But then, so whatever you have heard about LDC being hard or what, we still have people who have really excelled at LDC. Yeah, Linda is one of them, Grace is one of them, and we are glad that they are willing to share hers. So not to really even waste their time a lot, I'll give them each of them first 25 minutes each of them to really share with us how they excelled, how their excelling journey throughout LDC, how they made their notes, prepared for their IAs, how they dealt with all those emotions, how they dealt with oral exams, oral exams, finishing the examination and everything. So I'll give each of them 25 minutes. After, then we'll come up with questions. Those ones who have questions can keep sending them. You can be sharing the link or share still in the comment section your questions. After they are done sharing with us their journey through this and how they excelled, we shall respond. They will respond to your questions, and then we kick from them. So I think, should I start with let me start with Grace, then Linda can come after. Hope that's okay. Yes, Grace, we're ready to hear from you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Alfred.
You're
I
welcome.
hope I'm audible enough.
You're very audible.
All right. So I first of all want to thank the organizers of this space Thank you so much for the work you're doing. We really appreciate. I personally am humbled for the invitation to be able to address those that are joining LDC. My name, as I've been introduced, is Amoit Grace Fedrine. As you've heard from the bio, I'm lucky to have gone through LDC, and I'm happy and delighted to share the excelling formula as today's topic states. So without wasting time, I will try to be as brief as I can and fit within the 25 minutes I've been allocated. So to begin with, to me, I would say excelling at the bar or at LDC starts right from day one, the first week. You do not need to relax as soon as you enter the LDC. Or before I forget, I congratulate all those who were admitted. This year has been full of ups and downs in the admissions, but congratulations on those who have made it. Please, it's not a mistake that you appeared on that list amidst thousands who were denied an opportunity this year, but to keep them in prayer. So like I was saying earlier, please do not relax. The very first day you start LDC is when you start your excelling journey. What do I mean? You do not need to relax in the first week or sleep and say, oh, this week it's just the beginning, the workload is still little, I can, keep watching my series or my movies. Please, you are denying yourself the opportunity to excel. So take every minute at LDC as your last minute. Do it like it is your last, like your life depends on it. 2, ensure you balance your personal life, or try to manage your personal life and discipline. By this, what do I mean? You do not need to focus more on the luxurious lifestyle, giving most of your time to things that do not add up to your books while at LDC. To me, I would tell myself LDC is only 9 months. Within my head, I put it to myself that it is 9 months, and I must make the most out of these 9 months. Do not see it as 1 year, okay? Because the 3 terms that carry a lot of weight are equivalent of 9 months. So please give it your shot. Each and every day that you wake up, make sure that day counts. Do not go to bed without achieving anything at LDC. So balance your personal life. When I talk about balancing your personal life, it does you a lot of injustice going to the bar on a Friday because you've finished the IA, and then Saturday morning you come to class with a hangover. You are not going to be any productive in that discussion. So please balance your personal life. The next factor that I considered while at LDC is stress management. You've heard a lot of things, a lot of myths about LDC. LDC is hard. It is a bush, you're hunting the lion. LDC this and that. You've probably heard of some of our colleagues who have died. Yes, it so happens. But to avoid that, try to manage your stress. By that, what do I mean? Do not only focus or dive deep into the books in that they consume you. Always find a way to come out of the stress that you're in. Each week at LDC comes with a lot of pressure, force, stress, anger. So always find a mechanism, find a way of managing that stress. It is a lot, yes, I understand it may be the first of its kind for some of you, but always find a mechanism. Find something that can pull you out of that stress if you feel you're sinking. Some of the tricks that I used were, for instance, every Friday after the IF, I would try and get a colleague or 3, and we would take evening walks around. I was at LDC Mbara. So you try and take evening walks around the streets of Mbara just to cool down that pressure, okay? Try and take in the fresh air that comes with the environment outside of the work that you used, the area that you used to in LDC, which is full of tension here and there. Find something that gets you out of that stress. Alternatively, what I would do, I made sure I had a support system at LDC. And the closest support system I had were my parents. Each Friday after the IA, my father would have to call me and just check up on me and find out how was the IA, how are you doing, how are you coping up, something of a sort. It does not need to be a very long conversation, but find a friend. It may not be a parent for those of us who do not have them, but just someone that you can rely on, someone you know you can confide in. Talk to them about the pressure that you're feeling. Some or somehow talking about the stress will help you relieve that week's stress. In one way or the other, you will be creating room for the next week. Because trust me, the next week is also going to come with its own force and pressure, like I said earlier. Then the next qualifier would be, we should have come first, is the hard work. Do everything. To me, I would tell myself, do everything and give the receipt to God. Do whatever you need for you to pass the LDC. I cannot stress this any further, but do everything in your power. If it means attending all classes 100%, please attend it. If it means waking up in the night to read for extra hours, please do that. Just do everything, all the hard work. The peers you're going to meet at LDC will not give you everything. So the 70% that you need to excel, most of it is going to come out of you. How do you do that? Through organizing your notes. Ensure that you have organized notes for every week. I cannot emphasize that any further, because you're going to do a course unit for this week, let's say family practice, and you are not going to open up that book again for probably another 4 weeks. So ensure that each week, every topic that is meant to be covered in that week is covered in your book, and all your notes properly organized and neat. When I talk about organizing work, for me, what I did personally, I've told this trick to some of my colleagues who have been there this year, and they told me it worked for them. What I did, I got all my books, and I mean all my books. I page numbered all the pages in my book, right from the first page to the very last page. And then I had to create an index, like a table of contents for my notes, for my books. The rationale for this and how it helped me was during the written exam, the final exam. You never know where the exam is going to be set. Sometimes you're very lucky and the exam is set from the exact workshop you covered in the course of your studying. So if you read the exam paper and you notice, oh, I've covered this workshop somewhere, it's very easy for you to quickly run through your table of contents and look for the page where you wrote down that topic in that particular workshop. And very fast, you'll open that page number. It will save you a lot of time flipping pages in the exam room, getting confused with all the pressure that you're under during the 3 hours of sitting the exam. Your brain literally freezes, you lose focus. Whereas if you have all your notes in order with your page numbers, it is just like opening a textbook, okay? Whereby you will simply read that topic that you're looking for, it will direct you to the page number, and within the shortest time possible, you can already access the particular topic you're looking for. So to me, that helped me a lot when it came to the final written exam. Still about the exam, try to be up to date with current affairs. With this, I would, I don't know if Linda quite recalls, but there is an exam we did in the family law. It was the exact case, a live case that happened of the late judge who had died. It was the same exact number we had in the family practice final exam. So for those who had read the case in depth, were able to answer that exam. Whereas those who locked themselves out and were not up to date with the current affairs or the current cases that have been passed on by the judges could not answer the exam. So please, in whatever you do, much as you're under pressure, you have a workshop to finish here and there, you have a moot, you're preparing for your orals, do not lock yourself out of the current affairs, okay? When it comes to organizing of the notes or the work. You're going to receive a course outline, or be it or the topics that are meant to be covered for each and every week. Now, some of those workshops do not cover all the topics that are listed in that particular workshop or the particular course outline. Please do not limit your notes to only the 2 workshops that you're going to find for each week. Each time you're writing down your notes in the book, refer back to the learning outcomes. Peruse through and find out whether you have copied all the notes covering all the topics that have been listed. I still emphasize the workshops sometimes do not cover all the topics. Always ensure when you're copying your notes, go back to the learning outcomes. Find out if you are going to come from on Friday. You'll be shocked to find that the IA has been set from one of the topics which you ignored in that learning outcome. So please endeavor to, while not try to be in your research, do not limit yourself to previous notes, please. I know some of you have come across notes from your friends from the previous years and you have them beside you. Do not limit your notes to only what your friends have covered. Go outside, spread your wings, do your thorough and extensive research. Read all the cases, and I repeat, all the cases that you're going to find in that course outline for each week, and read them in depth. The idea of reading short cases should stop at this very moment, please, because you miss out a lot of principles by reading those short cases. So try to adopt the art of reading full cases. The quickest way that you can achieve this is joining meaningful and productive discussion groups. I'll tell you, I for one, I joined the first discussion group I joined when I reached LDC. I felt immediately uncomfortable with it because each time I would go to the group, I would feel like the same way I went is the same way I would return. So it was not being productive to me. What do I mean? There are certain groups that you're going to join, you'll find yourselves being the same friends you've had probably from undergrad, okay? You all have the same mentality, you all have the same thinking, in that there is no one in that group to monitor and keep you in check. Please move out of those groups that you have come with from LDC. Go out there, associate with those from UCU, if you're from Makere, associate with those from KIU, from IU. Try to find out, source for different brains, okay? Do not limit yourself to only the friends you have. And when you're going for these discussion groups, please, before you enter any discussion group, ensure that you have read ahead. It is very detrimental for you to go for a discussion without reading. You're simply going to go there and listen to whatever point, be it poisonous or productive. You may even never tell if you're being misled simply because you did not read ahead. Please, for you to benefit out of any discussion group, read ahead so that when you go for this discussion group, you are able to follow, you are able to share, you are able to dissect, you're able to object to some of the ideas that have been brought by your friends. But failure for you to read ahead, you will never benefit out of that discussion group. Next, well, when it comes to materials, reading materials, there has been an update or a revision in most of our laws. So most of the materials that you probably have by now or that you may come across are still having the revised laws. Please try to be up to date, like I said earlier. Do not keep these materials that you have with you. Try to share it with your friends. You could be keeping quiet with wrong material. Yet if you shared it with your colleagues, you're able to be corrected. If the materials have any repealed law that you've missed, a colleague could easily bring you up to date and tell you, oh, by the way, this law was repealed. So please do not be mean. You cannot pass LDC alone. You cannot pass LDC in isolation without sharing or associating with your colleagues. So please learn the art of sharing with your colleagues and accept change, accept to be corrected where you have gone astray. Still, when it comes to organizing your notes, please ensure you have all the documents, and I mean all the documents that you are supposed to cover for each week. I know at LLB or at undergrad, there is little or none of the drafting. You are going to come across several pleadings. Please draft all those documents in your book. Do not get tired of drafting those documents. The documents can save you a whole lot in the exam, and they can lead to your failure if you do not have them. The IS that you're going to sit for on Fridays, I know that the tendency has been that in the first semester or the first term of LDC, the IAs are not assessed, they do not contribute to your final mark. Please, I want to emphasize and encourage you, treat every IA like it is the final exam. Write every IA like it is the final exam. You do not know how much those IAs can save you. Do not simply look at it and say, oh, this is a minor test, I'll go and sit with my formation or my group and we shall share and copy here and there. Please treat the IAs like they are your final exam. I did that and I do not regret. I did not underscore in any of the IAs that I sat for while at LDC. Then still, when I go back to our social life, as I wind up, when it comes to your social life, you've heard a lot of things about LDC. Like I said earlier, put all that negative energy away. Release the fear and tension in you. I know right now you're tensed up. You've joined LDC. You've had a lot of stories here and there. You've had the failure rate is so high. Please do not put such negative thoughts in your mind. Be positive. The journey to excellence begins with your mindset. The moment you have it in you that, oh, this is hard, I may not make it, the minute you start doubting yourself, you're limiting yourself from excelling LDC. Personally, I almost did not apply for LDC, to be honest. But when I went back and sat down, I looked back, the 4 years that I've endured in law school, I said no. If LDC is hard, let me go and face it. And trust me, I built a positive mindset right from the beginning. Each time I would hear stories about LDC, people telling me it is hard here and there, I would distance myself or simply walk away quietly, go and do my reading. And trust me, I do not regret doing that. So please, your mindset also determines whether you fail or you pass LDC. LDC is not the end of life. For those who may, God forbid, I hope and I pray that no one on this platform has to repeat any paper at LDC. But please, in case it happens, promise yourself not to beat yourself about it. LDC is not the end of life. If you happen, or if unfortunately it so happens that you have a paper or two to repeat, if you have a supplementary to repeat when you receive your final results, please do not beat yourself about it. Do not feel like a failure, because you are not. You are not the first and neither are you the last. If you have a paper or two to repeat, you still have the opportunity to turn it around. Go for that supplementary, give it your best shot, and you move out of LDC. No one will even care about your supplementary when you get out. No one will want to refer back and say, oh, by the way, you failed corporate and commercial. Trust me, no one cares. As long as you walk out of that place, irrespective of how you have passed, whether with a supplementary, no one cares. So please make it your life goal to ensure you leave LDC. And if it so happens that you do not pass, there are very other avenues. There are very many opportunities for lawyers out there to make it in life. Not everyone is meant to be in litigation, in court. Litigation is tiresome in its way or another. Any advocate on the platform may encourage you to look into any other opportunities that you can. So while you embark on this journey, Open up your mind. Do not restrict yourself to only what LDC has to offer or the end goal of LDC. Always have a backup plan. I'm not saying the backup plan should create doubt in you and say, okay, if I fail, no. Just in case it so happens, because none of us wishes to fail, but sometimes we are not good. And sometimes things may happen. You may be stressed, people go through a lot here and there. So if it so happens, look for other avenues, look for other opportunities that you can venture into to make it in life. Not each one of us is meant to end up in court. There are very many successful lawyers out there, but they don't even appear in court. Those who may have practice in that field will encourage you. Please, LDC is not the end of life. Do not beat yourself about it. Do not think you're cursed. Do not see yourself as a failure. It simply did not work out. Maybe that is not the journey you're meant to take. So always find purpose. Always find yourself elsewhere that you can fit.
Yes,
I
thank you.
wouldn't wish to waste a lot of your time, but I really hope that anyone on this platform, please listen to whatever we are trying to tell you. We have been there, we know the system. Before I leave the space, I want to thank Alfred in person. I'm so honored that you're on this platform. Alfred, you may not recall, but when I graduated from UCU, I shared a part of my story on LinkedIn, which you happened to comment on, and somehow you gave me hope. You spoke a lot of encouragement into me that I didn't think I needed at that point. But it is later when I realized you happened to share a similar story that gave me a lot of reinforcement. And when I went to LDC, I knew my goal, I knew my purpose. So please do not stop encouraging those that are joining LDC, because you do not know the impact you have on someone. And I hope someone today will release the tension and fear that they have for LDC. Please allow me to end at this and allow the other speakers to take up the space. Thank you so much.
Wow, great. Thank you. That was so insightful. And thank you for my flowers. I'd never even really, okay, I'd forgotten maybe about it, but thank you. So briefly, yes, Grace, I shared with us things with stress management. I think I remember after their A papers, we would go for those who love football in Imbarara, would go to the field and we play some football. If you don't play football, at least you would do. Yeah, you would really watch other people play football as you see. Then he has talked of support system. I think I remember I had a friend who is I used to call her my emotional bag. Like whenever I was unfine, I could just call. Even when she called me, I'm not feeling fine. Even if I could hide, she would know that you're lying, you're not fine. So you should be having at least that emotional bag as a support system, or even a guardian angel. Like most of us, maybe our parents are our guardian angels. Like when he calls you, or when your father, mom, or mom calls you, everything can come back and said. As regards page numbering, yeah, that's really important because I remember I did the exam for land. I had the document. I had a good power of attorney, which had taken too much time into drafting. But when I was doing the exam, I didn't. I went through my book and I was not seeing where it was, and until I couldn't find it, I just ended up drafting a power of attorney from my head. And after the exam, that's when I saw the power of attorney, which was really good. But even when I wrote it from my head, was a bit good. But now it goes the fact that I had not prepared my notes well, and with the page numbering bit of it. Yeah, update with the current affairs. I really agree with you. Even says Yoya that ghost case. I think in Yawaya they brought the case. There's a year they brought the case for Bitature and that Mezan fund, and they brought the same facts. So you could copy and you could pay and paste whatever Counsel Chirunda was doing when he was representing Mezan fund to get results for Mezan fund, and you have that as your answers. Even there was at least I remember that show about that case for Vitature. Yeah, don't look. That's so you really don't look out yourself out of current affairs. As looking at LDC as it's a small time and you come back. Those are 9 months. I personally, when I was leaving Ginger to go to Mbarara to pursue LDC, I even told my parents that just imagine that I'm in exile. I will be back after 9 months. Don't disturb me a lot. And yeah, after 9 months now, yeah, you can wait wherever you go. You have at least a good time to enjoy yourself. But for this 9 month, yeah, I have at least biggest time to LDC. Yeah, as regards the reading cases, I think I've shared before of having case clubs where people read cases and summarize for each other so that you get on board. The art of reading cases, we have really been emphasizing of not reading by osmosis. This is the time you really have to read the cases by yourself. As regards discussion it is really important to go for discussions before reading, because sometimes I used to miss out on going for discussion because you go for discussion and then you realize that you can't discuss with the person you want to discuss with because he has not read. Not being mean, yeah, this should even start from bachelors. He has talked of having all the documents. Yes, besides having all the documents in your book, you should at least learn to draft some of the documents offhand, so that even if you don't even if you don't look back at your book, you can always read draft that document, and then you can always reach out to those lawyers while they're practicing to share with you those documents. So you do free samples and you come up with your really good document. And then this is not the end of life, and there are other kind of opportunities besides the normal litigation. Yeah, I agree with you. I think some time back I shared some almost 25 careers a lawyer can do besides the normal litigation. Yeah, even me, I love litigation, but currently I'm running away from it slowly, but whereas I still love it because so besides the normal litigation, really you can do a lot and a lot. So at this juncture, I would like to invite Linda, triple A, why am I calling her triple A, to as well take us through. Her journey is still he also has the same amount of minutes, 25. We could give her more 20, sorry, more 5 to make it 30 to share with us. Then the, the question is, you can answer the question is after. So those who have questions, you can keep sending them. You can keep retweeting this space for other colleagues to join. You can keep having the what I call golden nuggets, what you have picked from the session, and you so that your colleagues can share. You can go back to the timeline and see, oh well, maybe I missed, but this one could work for me. Thank you once again, Grace, for sharing. Let's have Linda also share a story, and we got the question section. Thank you.
Thank you, Alfred. Can you please confirm if you can hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you. You can ban us.
Okay. Indeed, you've been calling me triple A, but it's actually ALA, but that's okay. Thank you. One, I'm honored to be invited to speak here. I would like to thank Alfred. I would like to thank the organizers, the people behind the Judicial Sound Exponent. You are doing work for the greater good. I myself, I remember around October 2022, right before I joined LDC, I listened to such a space. Unfortunately, I do not remember who the hosts were, but I mean, the results speak for themselves. So thank you, the Judicial Sound Exponent, just to emphasize. Just a small disclaimer. What I will share, and or maybe I forgot to thank Grace. Thank you so much for what you shared. I believe it will inspire the listeners today. Yes, a disclaimer. What I will share is what worked for me. Yeah, I am no expert in passing LDC. Just because I passed it. Yeah, just to make that clear. Reason being, everybody is different. So as you listen, all of you to pick something, and pick one or two things. I want you to tailor them to your needs, to your personality, to your temperament, to yourself, to your own experience. And I must be inclined to say that do not take everything that I will say for one as gospel truth. But yeah, I'm sure it will help you in one way or another. So about myself, just like most of you, I'm a young lawyer, living each day as it comes, currently practicing law at Shonuvi, Musoke and Tanzania Advocates, as had already been said. The only difference between me and you, the listeners who have joined LDC, is maybe that I might have joined LDC a year later, or I'm a year sooner, or I may have been born before you, but that's the only difference. Yeah. So to start off, I would like to emphasize attitude, your attitude towards LDC, and I cannot emphasize this enough. I remember when we were joining, we were told that we were not the first. So I'd like to tell you the same thing. You are not the first. We were not the last to pass LDC. Very many people pass it after us, and very many people pass it after you. So your attitude towards it matters. And remember, Grace talked about a positive attitude, a positive mindset. The truth is, as you soon see, LDC is tough. They are not rumors. It's actually true. The former director used to call it a lion's hunt. It is tough. It is grueling. But what matters is the attitude that you come in with. Just like me, I'm sure most of you came in straight from your undergraduate. So you may have been just ticking boxes. I mean, from primary, you ticked a box. Secondary, O-level, A-level, university. So you may think that the most reasonable box to tick right now would be LDC. But I'll tell you this, find your why. You need to find your why. And that why is what is going to inform your attitude experience. My honest opinion is LDC doesn't have to be a bad experience. It is tough. But remember, in those tough moments, remember that you're an adult. Nobody forced you. You came on your own. So you accepted to suffer, you accepted to come and hunt a lion that, that you do not want, or as you'll soon see, like it is tough, but your attitude towards it matters. You can do LDC two ways, yeah? You can be that complaining person, that person that is always complaining, cursing the institution, cursing the PS, cursing your friends, cursing the campuses that you're at. You will be a completely angry and sad person, yeah? Or you can do LDC with a lighter attitude, do the work that you're supposed to do with a good attitude, have a positive mindset. As I said, you're not the first, so you definitely make it if you have only if you have the right mindset. The other thing is that you should know yourself, and I think by this stage of your academic journey, you know a bit of yourself. You know when you read best. Do not go into what they call Kayola. For you, when people are reading in the morning, you're reading. When people are reading in the evening, you're reading. When they're discussing, you also now want to discuss. No. You have to know yourself, know what works for you. Grace talked about discussion, how for her they didn't work for her. Okay, they worked for her with reading. I know people that had 4 discussions at undergraduate, at LDC, and I'm not one of them. And it worked for them, yeah? Whereas I, for one, could only have 1 discussion, of which even I had to make sure I prepare for it. Yeah, so you have to know yourself. People are different. You need to know, and you also need to balance things that you know about yourself and things that are uncomfortable for you. For example, you cannot be that person that says, oh, me, I'll read, and that's enough for me. No, you will get principles wrong. You need to share with your other colleagues. Yeah, that's it. Then after that, you have to put in the work if you want to stand out. And please let nobody lie to you. Excellence will never run out of style. Yeah. So there are always those excuses of, oh, even if you got a first class, even if you got a past degree, we are all the same. The truth is, yes, you are the same, but when you excel, it puts you a level higher. It opens up opportunities that you never know may not have come if you had not put in the work. And LDC, by the way, is not actually for the most intelligent, in my view. It is for the most consistent person. So if at undergraduate you have been priding yourself in being the most intelligent person, and then you think you wake up in the 4th week or 2 weeks to oral and think, oh, I'm going to excel because I know I'm very sharp. No, you will not. LDC is for the most consistent person, yeah, right from day one. As you will soon see, just like Grace hinted on, LDC is week after week of principle, yeah. You are learning, or if you already learned at undergraduate, you are appreciating new principles every week, yeah.
So if you are the kind of person that is consistent in 1 week and not consistent in the other, chances are high that you're going to slack. And when you slack, there is just no time to pick you up. Unfortunately, sometimes it happens, and I'll speak from my own experience. Sometimes you have that one week where you may not understand the principles as much as you'd like to. I would implore you that when such a thing happens, move on here. Do not be the person that we're in corporate week, we're in family week for your reading corporate week just because you think family has a less workload. That's important, just to emphasize that every subject is important, be it family, be it criminal, be it corporate. Just because something seems easy doesn't mean it is easy. And if you look at the failure rates in our year, or the people that do not pass, the subjects that people failed were actually quite interesting. Family and criminal, things that people took for granted because they thought they were easy. Yeah. Then you also have to go the extra mile. Yeah. All this year is actually a lot of time, and that is what people will not tell you, or what you only see after the 9 months. I mean, I don't know how it is how it's going to be in your year, but we studied for 4 hours a day. Now imagine those are 4 out of 12 hours in a day. If you have one discussion group, let me say maximum attention span, or when the discussion will be productive, is 2 hours. Yeah, so you discuss for a further 2 hours. Then you have, let me say, 2 or 3 hours of copying notes. Yeah, what are you doing with the rest of your time? Yeah. So if and I remember people used to emphasize copying notes. The truth is, you're going to get so much variety of notes that you will not know what to do with them. You're going to get notes from the previous year, which is our year, the year after that. If you're in Bara, you get notes from Mira, and vice versa. So what matters, just like Grace said, is when you look at your learning outcomes and the notes you are copying, are they matching the learning outcomes, or are you copying notes from undergraduates? Yeah, which will not count in the final exam. Of course, copying notes is a skill that you copying the right note. Actually, I don't even think it should even be called copying notes. It should be called writing notes. Writing notes that you understand. Writing notes that will get you marks in the final exam. With time, you become perfect, but that's what I'm saying. You have to apply yourself. You have to read. You have to go the extra mile. You have to read cases. You have to, if possible, consult PAs and things like that, and also stay abreast of current information, like Grace emphasized. Then the other thing is you have to understand how the BACOS operates right from the word go. You need to understand the weights in second term that you're asking. How many marks does category, which percentage does category B take, which percentage does I IS take, and things like that. You have to know, and the reason why I'm emphasizing this is because when you think about people that when you think about failing LDC, for those who have enjoyed and listening, you may think that people that fail LDC or fail certain papers have 30%, 20%. No. Have 48% out of 50. And reason being, they did not understand the system and did not prioritize what needed to be prioritized. For example, just like yesterday, IS. Prioritize IS. Do not take them for granted. Do not be that person on a Friday like, I didn't even understand this week, so I think let me just sacrifice this week's IS. This week's IL, let me wait for the next one. No, it will not work out. Prioritize orals. A friend of mine, I've been thinking, listening, once told me orals are the theme. And as having excelled at LDC, I must say yes, orals are the theme. Orals are the trick. And how do you read for orals? You have to read for orals from day one. It is almost impossible to read for orals a month to orals, or 2 weeks. You enter that room shaking, and even what you know, you will not remember it. So yeah, prioritize orals, know the system, and do not take IS for granted. The other thing is have a support system, have friends, have family. Remember when I said LDC has a lot of time? Yeah, it has a lot of time. Use it wisely. Have a good time. Yeah, it is hard, but it's not that bad. Yeah. So maybe one thing that I forgot to mention. Yeah, remember all those stories that you have been told about LDC and how hard it is. Please keep them away for now. Keep them away. You need to experience LDC for yourself. Do not experience LDC based on other people's experience. Yeah. So have friends. I see some of mine are listening. Basically that. And those are people that will ground you. Those are people you'll be able to support each other when you're slacking somewhere. Those are people that will actually let you know that I think you are playing a bit too much, or I think we need to do this to, better our experiences and things like that. Which leads me to my final point. Do not take life and LDC too serious. I talked about having attended such a space when I was joining LDC. And one of the things, a lady, I think she was the third best hire, said, okay, she really said what we did not want to hear, but she said the truth. We will not all make it to LDC. Not because it is our own fault, but because sometimes you get rejected for certain reasons that you may not understand, for reasons beyond you. And that is why I implore you not to fixate on passing LDC, but to fixate on applying yourself, extending yourself to do your very best. Yeah, and this is the difference. When you fixate on passing LDC, the fear of failing will be so overwhelming. Yeah. Whereas when you fixate on doing your very best and going beyond what is expected of you, the results will flow naturally. Yeah, there is no way you can tell LDC when you have put in your best work. And if it happens, if God forbid you have done your best, yeah, then you have to, maybe that wasn't your time. Yeah, maybe it just wasn't your time. Maybe that rejection is a redirection. Yeah. So as long as you fixate on doing the right thing at the right time, yeah, and putting in just a little more extra effort, just putting in little effort. I mean, little extra effort. The results will speak for themselves. Yeah, and that leads me to my other emphasis of doing your best. Yeah, doing my best as Linda is not the same as, let me say, doing your best as Alfred. So you have to know yourself, yeah? Do not die trying to fit into what everybody calls their best. I mean, if you're reading for 4 hours and for you, in the 4th hour, you're no longer understanding, why are you still reading? Take a break and then read again, and everything will come easy for you. Then, I don't know if I've used up my 25 minutes. I may not have, but I wish you that do your best and leave the rest for God or Allah or whoever you think has control. And remember, there is only so much you can control. The only thing you can control at LDC is your attitude, doing the right thing, and putting in the work. Yeah, that's all from me. I hope you pick 1 or 2 things from it.
Yes, thank you, Linda, for that. Yeah, before I start to summarize what Linda shared with, Bruno has reached out to me and the Kihembo Trust. They have something to share, so I request those to make them speakers. Kalibala, Bruno, and the Kihembo Trust. Kindly make them speakers. So by them, if I summarize, they will have 5 minutes each to share with us briefly. Then we can go to the questions which have been receiving. So,
Alfred, kindly repeat. Can they ask for the mic? Can they make a request?
Kalibala Bruno, that's the first one, and then Chihembo Trust, Advocate Chihembo Trust. I don't know. I think they can either request or you can send them a make request. Can you see them?
Bruno, I've seen and sent Chimbo Trust. Okay, I have given them the mic. They can accept and speak up.
Okay, so once they do, they'll have 5 minutes each. So, as Linda has really pointed out, having a positive attitude, that is really self-explanatory, because if you have what you feed in the garden is what you get from the garden. So if you plant positivity, you'll achieve positivity. If you plant negativity, you'll end up with negative results. As finding out your why, we all know why you went to LDC. So whenever I want to give up, find out why you went there, and then stick to your why until you get the result. Being a complainant or complaining about all this and PAs and whatever, yeah, I think should be having this attitude that these people are not against you. Like, they're actually training what they want to be, like a one-day lawyer, just like every teacher wants you to pass. So no one wants you to fail in that regard. And he talked of reading for errors from day one. No, yeah, that one I agree. I think there was one major point where I shared of knowing yourself. I think I once shared that the best gift you can ever give yourself, your adult self, is knowing your personality, and you know what works for you and what doesn't. You have to know who you are and decide early enough of whether discussion is work for you or personal reading works for you. So with that, you won't be loitering, discussion groups or what. I think allow me just use my example. Maybe personal reading works for me. The extent that whenever I do discussion, I'll be like, unless I'm coming to maybe to discuss, but discussing, I realize it doesn't work for me. So you have to know yourself, and if you find that you're not in many discussions as you may want, you don't beat yourself that, hey, I'm not the only person who doesn't have a discussion. But if you know so that maybe you understand by reading personally, then you go with it. If you understand through discussion is, you go with it. So I really agree with that. Then be consistent. Yeah, that one is really vital. Keep away negative energy. Experience LDC for yourself. Then fix it. Yeah, fix your mind on doing your very best and not on passing, and the results will really come effortlessly. I think that's what you should do, because if you do that, even if the results that don't come your way, at least you rest you rest with the fact that at least I did my best. So whatever the result, that was up to God. So that takes out the last point of God. There is a quote I once shared that. At LDC, you read like you have not prayed, and then pray like you have not read. So after reading to your best, then you pray as if you have not read, because you have read to your best, and at least you have done your best. You have done everything, the IAs and everything, and then you leave the rest to God. I think I would do that. So I don't know whether Shembe is ready to share or Bruno. Did they accept the mic, or we can go to the questions which have been
No,
received?
Alfred, they did not, but there is
Mm,
girl support,
yes.
Hilda Tumwebaze.
Okay,
But
Hilda.
they have not accepted my request to speak. Maybe
Okay,
if they can hear us, please accept the invite.
it's okay, Hilda. You have 5 minutes before we go to the question which I've received. Kindly share with us what you would want to share. Then I got the question which I've been receiving. Hilda Tumwebaze, can you turn on your mic, or maybe I don't know what's wrong with our speaker she sorts herself. So for this question is, I will ask, then Linda and Grace will come on board to answer. I'll ask one question, each one answers, then we go to another question. I've been receiving quite a number of questions. I hope we have time to respond to them. So the first question was, how did these two students feel before joining LDC? Now, like, we are in the first week here, the anxiety bit, or even that the moments before joining LDC. How was the feeling, and how did you prepare? Because you said you prepare from day one. So we can start with Grace, then Linda will join in. Just 2 minutes each to answer, because you have quite a number of questions. So, Grace, how did you feel before joining LDC? How did you prepare from day one? Kindly respond to that.
Okay, yeah. So my experience in the first 1 or 2 weeks at LDC, to be honest, it was very brutal. I remember going into my room on certain bad days and I would cry, like really cry. That is how brutal it was. Because one, I was not accustomed to the volume of the workload, copying notes. I copied notes in the first week of LDC and I would feel my fingernails numb at a certain point in that I would not even do my laundry. So the first 1 or 2 weeks, please, it is normal for you to cry. It is normal for you to feel tired. It is normal for you, all the emotions that you're going to have in the first week. Just let it slide. But over time, you'll get used to the system and the rest of the weeks will come and be as smooth as they will come. So please do not fear any emotions that you're going to have. In the first 2 weeks, you may feel like, okay, I think I'm not supposed to be here. Maybe I should back out and withdraw. Please do not. Simply endure and keep moving. So yeah, it's very normal. Whatever you're feeling in the first 2 weeks, simply endure for the beginning. But as time goes on, I assure you, you'll get used to the system and the rest will be a walkover, provided you do as we have tried to guide you through.
Okay, thank you, Linda. Can we have your take? Yeah, I've seen John. John will share shortly after this question is. I'm sorry, but you'll share shortly after the questions. Linda, we may have your take.
Yeah, mine is quite different. I remember in the first weeks I was very open-minded. I chose to go to a campus where I had actually no friends. So I went to Barra campus and my friends had gone to Kampala campus. I was open-minded, I was anxious, I was a bit scared, but then again, I was also very curious. Everything sounded so foreign, category A, category B, category C. And then it was also quite interesting. I remember the first time I walked into a room and I saw a whole of people wearing suits. It was quite exciting. But yeah, that's my experience.
Okay, thanks. Then the second question was, I think this one I'll bundle them. Those moments when you received the workshops on your email, because they usually send them on Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah, most time Thursday. And then how did you prepare for the Saturday discussion? Is because there are those when you have a task to do in those discussions, and then there are those where you don't have a task. So as we start with Grace, and then Linda will come in after.
Okay, yeah. So for the workshops, it's true in most cases they are sent around Thursday or Friday when you're going in for the IA. And trust me, at that point, that is when you start feeling the pressure for the next week. But personally, what I would do, I would not open the next week's workshop or that email until I'm done with the IA. I just got accustomed to that. I would not open my email until I'm out of the Friday IA. And after the IA, what I would do, because that week had already drained me, like I said, each week comes with its own force and pressure. So once the week has drained me, what I would do after the IA, after taking my evening walk, I would simply come back, take a bath, and sleep throughout until morning at around 7, because that is the only sleep I'm going to get in the course of the week. Then when I wake up in the morning, I will try to read through the workshop before going for the discussion, so that when I attend the discussion, I'm not going through the workshop for the first time. It is detrimental for you to go for the Saturday IA without knowing what you're going to discuss. So I would ensure I read the workshop before or prior to the discussion, so that when I moved into that room, I'm able to have a glimpse or an idea of what the workshop of the week is going to require me to do. So when I go in for the discussion, I would know what to expect out of myself and out of my colleagues. Briefly, the discussion is not for you to go in detail about the workshop, just to give you like a roadmap of how you're going to approach the workshop for that particular week. So for me, that is what I would do.
Yeah, thank you, Grace. Linda, kindly share with us.
What I used to do, we used to have a discussion group, and every after an IA, we would meet. We would meet on campus. We wouldn't go home. We would briefly read the facts, at least for workshop 1, and some of, if we had the energy, really depending on the IA for workshop 2. And that is how we would prepare. Then after that, we would leave campus, at least knowing what is in the workshop. Yeah, that's how we prepare.
Okay, thank you. I think let me first have John. We can give him 10 minutes to share with us before I get as I gather more questions. So then you can come on board to answer, because I have some more 5 questions. But let me first have John share in 10 minutes. Then we can come back on board. Thank you, John. Please, you may proceed.
Thank you very
Sorry,
much.
Alfred, before John. Sorry, John, just for housekeeping, for some of the attendees who want to pose questions, please, you ask for the mic, and we'll be able to allow you to get the mic. Then you can, pose your questions. Those which have not been sent to Alfred, you can ask and we allow you to speak, or if you have any contribution to the discussion. Yes, John, over to you.
Thank you very much, the good moderators. In fact, mine is a question because I have also joined this intake. There are 2 questions. The first one concerns CLE. So I don't know whether our speakers were able to join CLE and whether they would recommend someone to join it, or whether it adds additional pressure to the already too much pressure that normal students are subjected to. And then what are the benefits of the same? Can someone choose not to do it and not lose much? Then the second question is on finances. How did you manage finances? I know, okay, I don't know you. Perhaps you didn't have the pressure for finances, but maybe you could tell from experiences of your friends. Some of us might not be that privileged to have all the finances, buying materials, sustaining yourself, lunch. If we hear that the canteen is 10,000 lunch, and then we are told not to go and eat from those places where food is a little bit cheap because you need to keep the image. So how did you balance? Or suppose you are a little bit okay in that field, how did you see your friends balancing the issue of finances to keep afloat at LDC? Thank you.
Thank you. Your question is sorry, they're a bit interesting. Now, as regards CLE, I think you see that one now depends on really your interests and whether or not you do it. The impact, yeah, it is when you do them. The impact is good. We can interact with police, with what. But if you think that you don't have them, you don't want to have them to workload, you could. Personally, I didn't do CLE because that was in second term, I think. But so it's just a choice on and your passion. But yeah, if you think you can stretch to that extent and do it, yeah, well, you could do it. As regards finances, and I don't know, depending on your budget, you can learn to live on a little budget. I went to Mbarara, and I had a friend who loved cooking. I won't mention the friend's name. So in Mbarara, matoke, I think 10,000 a bunch. So you could buy your matoke 10,000, you buy your G nuts, which are like 5,000, and then you have your gas, which we went with, or even the shako. So we live on that matoke from Monday to Friday until it gets done. So for breakfast, there was milk. Milk would be, I think, 1,000 something. So that's now the living bit. So you can live on that low budget. And then, besides living on that low budget, as for the notes, I think I was lucky by then. I had a friend who had went to LDC before, so she just shared with me all her uncompared jams, and I used those ones. Then but generally, what I believe, they say where there is a vision, there is provision. Yeah, God will always provide, and God will always come through for you. That's that one. I've experienced it. I talk from personal experience. as long as I dream, even I tell people when you're dreaming that if you dream something and you can achieve it on your own, then that dream is too small is too small. So now they say this dream is now too big for you that you cannot achieve it on your own. That means it is big enough for God to come in and provide for you. You don't know where the money will come from. I'm not being a motivational speaker, but it will come. Money has a tendency of coming as and when you need it. Education is purely like building a house. You don't go to build when you have all the money gathered. You start from the foundation, then you add on the ceiling and what. It is a stage thing. You may not have all your tuition covered, but it will come in between. I trust you. I promise you, God will provide. Because from experience, even me, I didn't have all the money. Before going to LDC, I was working as I was studying, and the same year is when I resigned from working and I was footing my tuition bills. But on those days, yeah, I would call friends back. I would call my colleagues. Now I call them colleagues, but yeah, that then were just like my friends are like, but Counsel, what do you benefit from if I die from Umbarara? And it's like, Alfred, okay, let me send you 50K for this week, Kakuveremu. So you can reach out, you can be vulnerable to your friends, you can live on that low budget. At least I've shared with you how you could live on that. If you buy a bunch of matoke plus the Guinness sauce plus whatever sauce, that means 12 of us could live on a budget of 30K per week because we are cooking our own food. And that is quite fair. Linda and Grace could share, maybe for them they would have been those planned young lawyers. But in my sense, that's how I went about it. Thank you.
So, Alfred, could you give the microphone to Counsel Namugera? Counsel Namugera,
No,
Joe Peter.
just let's have Linda and Grace first respond to this. Then actually let me first ask a question. They respond to it together with this question. Then I can give to Kasuna Mugera. So the other question I had was, you have been talking of making notes, and there's really making notes and copying notes. So how did you get to make your notes? Did you wait for when the workshop has been answered, then you just copy and paste, or once you receive the workshop, you could start making your notes using the learning outcome? Because Wes had shared that you would have to make notes using learning outcome so that you don't miss out on anything. So looking at the period, you have to make your notes so that by the time of the next lecture, you're supposed to have at least then also know on all the workshop tracks. So how did you go about it within the limited period to either make your notes or copy your notes? I don't know whether what you copied notes or you made your notes. So you kindly add this to the question which John asked, and then we can proceed from that.
Okay, thank you, Alfred. I'll begin with your last question, making notes versus copying notes. There are two ways of making notes. You can either make notes for yourself, or you can make notes so that you're not chased away from class, and that's the difference. You see, if you just copy, if your farm, one, don't forget that in the beginning, all of you are raw. All of you are just learning, yeah. And remember, you distribute in different parts. So different people who have different ways of writing will make notes here. Somebody will get their LLB notes on what is a partnership and copy and paste it the way it is and put it in the document that you're supposed to copy from. So nobody is going to award you for having written summaries on 3 cases that define what partnership is. Instead, look at your learning outcomes. It says as the first thing. Do you have the law that supports that? Do you have the case that supports that? Yes. Move on to the next. And that's why usually in the first week you write so many notes, and yet by the time you reach that term and you're looking back, you cannot actually refer to anything in those notes. Yeah. Then so write notes that suit the learning outcomes. Yeah. And if you're listening to this, then you're privileged to know that you will not just get the whole thing and copy it in your book, even. But then the thing about finances, forgotten the gentleman who asked about it. I think just like Alfred said, live within your means, know what is in your pocket. There is nothing like you can't eat from certain places because you have to maintain status. Well, I went to Barra campus and that wasn't there. We ate wherever we wanted and wherever we could afford. So live within your means. If push comes to shove and towards exam, realize maybe you don't have tuition, I think you should speak up. Your classmates could be able to help you, your friends could be able to help you. Do not be that person 1 week to exams and you're sending people messages in group how you do not have tuition. 1 week to exams, even then they do not have money. So yeah, that's what I can advise.
Yeah, thank you, Linda. Grace, let's have your take on the question on make notes and then this question on finances.
Okay, thank you. So for the notes, just like Linda has clearly stated, you do not have to copy entirely the workshop as your firm has shared it with you. In most cases, especially for the beginning weeks, you're all gambling. You're not quite certain of what should be incorporated in your work and what shouldn't be incorporated therein. So do not only focus on the workshop that your colleagues have been sent. To me, I would find most cases the workshop shared by my colleague, not to despise any of them, but we are different. There are some of your colleagues who will take the work quite serious and they will indeed do their research, in that their research will be so rich and thorough. Whereas there are those who simply take the workshop for the sake of sake, you will allocate the work and someone will send in poorly researched work, ideally, which you cannot rely on. So go on and write your own notes. Like she has clearly stated it, there is a difference between copying and writing notes. So please, when it comes to writing, have a variety of notes that you can reflect on. It shouldn't only be one document. And when you're writing your research, ensure you're also looking at the learning outcomes, the cases that have been provided therein. You're going to come across numerous laws that you have not looked at undergrad, a lot of rules and regulations which you didn't refer to. All those are there for a reason, to help you in your research. You may find in the workshop some of the laws haven't been captured and you're privileged to have a copy of it. Look into it, let it guide you. It may give you a procedure, one or two, which was missed out in your research or in your workshop. So please learn the skill or the art of writing your own notes, not copying. And when it still comes to notes, there should be a difference between quantity and quality. No one is going to award you marks for having a lot of pages for a particular workshop. You may be having a lot of verbose notes that actually don't carry any weight. And then there is someone who has simply been straightforward when writing their notes, the principle, the case law, and the law that is providing for that particular principle. That is the quality. Vis-a-vis one who has gone ahead to explain a particular case without necessarily focusing on what the workshop requires you. Much as you have your undergraduate notes, do not copy and paste the notes you've had at undergrad. No. At LDC, you're looking at the practice. That was the theoretical bit of it. Here now you have to incorporate the practical bit of it. So all your notes, ensure you have the procedures, which you did not cover at undergrad. You have all the documents, the rules and regulations, which lead you to those procedures. Then the other question that someone asked about CLE, for the time I was at the center, we had quite a timetable that was so fixed according to me. Currently, I don't know if it is true, but I'm told some of the subjects we did were since scrapped off. So I don't know how fixed the current timetable is. But while I was there, you would find certain days whereby you're occupied and you have to attend class from almost the whole day with the other category B's and C's. So to me, I didn't want to add that kind of pressure onto myself. And besides, CLE is just like any other course unit. It's not in any way privileged or whatsoever, because even when it comes to the electives, you'll either do it or any other elective. So ideally, I won't say do not do it or do it, but still, like Linda said, that is your own personal analysis. If you feel you can handle the pressure that it may extend towards you, then go for it. But if you feel you cannot, please only work within the pressure that you can handle. Previously, I told you manage your stress. If this is something that is going to add on to more stress onto you, you can do away with it. You don't lose anything. You'll have another elective to fill up for that space. So please only do it if you feel you can handle it. And when you go into CLE and you find it is more time consuming, you can't handle it, always withdraw at the earliest opportunity and save yourself the trauma. About finances, that's quite personal, but still it goes back to your own lifestyle. How do you manage your lifestyle? Do you spend a lot on luxuries vis-a-vis the class materials that you need? Each week is going to come with its own expenditure. At LDC, please, you have a lot of laws to buy, you have a lot of compendiums to buy, you have notes to purchase for every week. Like I said, week in, week out, you'll be having a different course unit, and each course unit has its own laws for that particular week. So try to live within your means, spend your money quite wisely. Okay. Personally, I will not go into how I manage, but I was privileged to have a system that could support me financially, in that when I didn't have, I would simply call home and say, this week I need this amount for these particular books. For those that are sponsored, try to prep your sponsors or your parents at the earliest opportunity. Let them know that each week they should expect a call from you, at least asking for finances here and there, so that you do not shock them or ambush them and they'll start questioning, I sent you money last week, what did you use it for? No, prepare them right from the onset and tell them, week in, week out, please expect a phone call for this particular books or for these notes, so that they are in the know. When you call them, it will not be a shock. I was privileged to have one of my parents' credit cards, and that is how I would go about, expenses to do with books. So whenever I needed books, I just had to have the money in some way or another. Still, like Alfred said, source for funds from your colleagues. It is not shameful. You lose nothing. Today, a colleague is going to help you. Tomorrow, you'll be the one to assist them. And you'll always remember that person who stood by you in your times of need. So please do not feel ashamed to call any of your colleagues or your friends from any other fields. It may not necessarily be a lawyer, could be someone you have studied with, and maybe they can assist you with that 20,000 here and there. Open up, okay? And please, when they do not assist, do not get angry, because you're not entitled. Simply have hope. Everything will work out. Like I said, do everything and give the receipts to God. Everything He is going to provide for you. If He has put you in that place, He cannot put you in a position that you cannot manage. So have faith, have hope. Everything is going to work out.
Yeah, thank you so much. Then we had the question was for sharing. We had the question from Namugera Joel. Joel, please ask your question.
Thank you, Alfred. Please confirm if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah, please proceed with your question.
Okay. Mine isn't a question. Isaac had asked me to share my perspective of how to pass LDC.
Okay. You can use. I don't know whether I can think, because I'm sure the space always goes off after 2 hours. So that's, you are trying to manage time, but you can use 10 minutes to share. I hope there will be enough for you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. You're welcome.
I joined it a bit late, but at least by the time I joined in, a lot of things had been shared, and I think Grace and Linda covered most of the things. But one key point to note is LDCs has no perfect formula. It's like you have to do your thing. Yeah. You have to choose your own way of doing things. You choose your lifestyle, and you be consistent with it. If you're really sure that what you're doing is going to make you leave that place, you only have to do your part. You do your part, and you pray. You hope that LDC will let you go. One of the things for me I could advise is, one, resting is very important, because we always associate LDC with pressure, and that's the reality. The pressure is there. The pressure is too much. When I was joining LDC, I had a friend who told me, you even forget about the team you support. And I felt really scared until I reached there. Of course, I never forgot the team I supported. I always watched matches and all that, but it used to go with your time management. The time at LDC is really enough if you use it well. Personally, I wouldn't it depends on a person, but on a personal basis, you can actually use the day to the fullest without necessarily transnighting and all that. I know many of the lawyers are used to that, but you can actually use the day well. And that goes to my point of resting. You use the night to rest, you use the night to chill, maybe you grab a movie after a long day and all that. All this is just to make sure that you put aside the pressure, because it's always the pressure that brings the problem. So you always have to find a way. You make sure your schedule for resting is intact. Yeah? If you're that person who can handle discussions in the night, well and good. If you think you can't handle that, you can't handle a discussion at 9, at 10, at going to midnight, please do your discussions during day. It's also okay. I used to have a discussion group that used to meet between 3 to 5, and that was it. Only one discussion group. You may not need to join over 5 discussion groups, 3, yeah. One can still be okay, so long as it benefits you and you make the selection quite well. Then I had a chance. My farm leader appointed me, forced me, I would say forced, but I will appreciate him for that. Roderick appointed me to being a Amoit president in my farm. He insisted I take on the role. It was quite a burden. Leadership at LDC at some extent is always a burden. But to some extent, to the other, it actually benefits someone. So with the Amoit president, my role would be to assist my farm mates in preparing for mots. I help them in organizing, conduct the mock trials and all that. So by the end of the day, I nearly had every document that we had to draft during the mots at the top of my head. And I didn't need to read about them. So maybe if you're assigned to a farm, that could be something, that could be an option you can look into. Yeah? Because whenever you find yourself helping others, you benefit more. It sticks into your head and you don't have to read all about that. But you always go into it once you're ready to handle the pressure, because the way you handle your time really matters. Then the other would be with deciding the line of lifestyle you're taking, starting from the class. You have to choose whether you'll be the person that sits aside and wait for others to discuss for you. Wait for the others to do the research and present the work during the Saturday discussions. Or you choose to be the person that makes that research and presents to the others. Either way you can pass, depending on how luck gets to your side. But either way it could go wrong, mostly if you're on the other side of sitting and waiting, because the more you invest yourself into learning these things, the more you're on the safe side, the more you fill up your notes, the more you have the knowledge. You can choose to be the person that sits and waits for maybe the PA to point you out to present the work in class. Or you choose to be the person that is always willing to present, because the more you present, the more advantage you play for your side and keeping it up into your mind. Grace and Linda talked about the notes. Yeah, the most key thing about the notes is to make sure that you never allow yourself to move into a new week without finishing the previous week's notes. You cover all the learning outcomes and you know you're done with that. Because the moment you allow yourself to move into a new week without covering some aspects, you may never get the time. Yeah, you may remember later on and when it's actually too late. Or you may even actually remember when you're in the IA and it's too late for you. You index your notes. I think I had someone talk about that, such that if you're in the IA, you can easily pick up and know where to find whatever you're looking for. You make sure you have all the documents in your book, documents from the MOOCs, documents from the workshops. Every document you think you should have it in your book. however sure you may think you have it in your head, just for reference, and save the whatever may go wrong. Then going back to lifestyle, allow yourself to have a little fun because it eases up on whatever pressure may be heaping up. If a guy that loves soccer like me, go out and play some soccer in the evening. I used to play soccer every day, nearly every day. And it was until I think I started after my first term, after the first term. And the only time I realized how helpful it was doing our orals. I left a pan and realized in my room, the room was too small because I was thinking every time about what had happened inside that room. But when I went to play soccer,
You have 3 minutes, kindly summarize so that because I'm seeing very many questions and I want to catch up with time.
okay. So choose to do whatever you love so long as it meets within your time, and make sure you always keep in touch with your time, keep in touch with your friends. Ask whenever you feel if it's in the workshops and you feel something isn't covered, please ask the PAs. Ask during the follow-ups to harmonize the positions. PAs at times contradict themselves. So you need to know what is the final position. And keep in touch with those legal updates that keep coming in, those cases, just to be sure you're not caught off guard. Yeah, I think that's all I can share, Alfred.
Yeah, thank you so much, Peter, for that. So, Gift, could you have a question before we go to another question, or you want to share something with us?
Hello everyone. So mine is still not a question. I just wanted to say something on the CLE. I just wanted to say something on CLE.
Please
Um,
proceed. Yes.
okay. So I happened to take on CLE at the back course, and it wasn't adversarial. I would say it was complementary to everything else. It was another load, yes, but CLE kind of gives you first-hand practical. It exposes you to that practical experience, and you're able to do all the things that you're learning. LDC is practical, yeah, but when you take on CLE, you're doing everything firsthand. We had student practicing certificates, and we could represent clients as well. Um, you're able to draft. It pushes you to do things that you would otherwise just push away if you're not so vigilant about meeting deadlines and doing everything as every speaker has shared on here. The other thing that Joel maybe said about drafting all documents, I remember one of the PS telling us, you know what, guys, go to the URSP website and kind of draft all the documents you can find there. Just keep them in your book. Do it. Get a weekend. Sit down. Draft them. Maybe, maybe not. You never know when they'll come in handy. I did that, and the final paper, corporate, had a document that so many people didn't have in their books, right? But I had it, and I had already drafted it from the URSP website. So, if possible, just be vigilant about drafting those particular documents in your books. Get a day, create time, draft them, and yeah, wait for later. Just those two things. If you can do CLE, if you're a multitasker, I would advise that you go ahead and do it. If you can't and you know it will be hectic, maybe just continue taking advantage of the discussions. Yeah, pretty much. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak.
Yeah,
Back to you,
thank you,
Alfred.
Sash. You're welcome. That was too insightful. I think Johnny's questions have been answered, even the finance bit, even the cell. John Tobanja. Okay, so I have another question. Was you know those nights before the IA? So kindly, this now back to Linda and Grace. Those nights before the IAs, how did you prepare for them? Usually, because by time of IAs on Thursday and Friday, either you don't have all the notes in your book, and you're scared that they may bring what I didn't read about. They may bring something maybe I don't have a document. So how do you prepare for those IAs? So I could band it with the next question of after the IAs, especially those ones where you felt that you had misfired, how did you overcome the feeling of not giving up on the cause? I think this question reminds me, there's a time we did an IA for criminal third term, and we had we had either appeal or revise. I personally revised, and the right answer was appeal. But the trauma I had, to the extent, by the time I did exam, I still looked for like, man, I revised instead of appealing. I don't know this criminal will handle it. So kindly just share with us how you prepared for the IAs, that night before the IAs and after the IA, especially where you felt that things had gone berserk. How did you overcome the feeling of not giving up on the cause? We'll start with Grace, then Linda will join in. Thank you. Sorry, you can start with Linda since you're already speaking. Linda, please proceed.
Yes, thank you, Alfred. So, how to prepare for the IA? One, in my view, I don't think you should be firefighting notes. I mean, by Thursday evening, it would be pertinent if you have all your notes ready. And what does that mean? It means that you start preparing for the IA from Saturday, the last week. You do not actually start preparing for the IA on Thursday night. The other thing that we used to do is
Linda, we have lost you a bit. I don't know whether others are getting.
copy. Yeah, so that's how you prepare for the Friday IA. Otherwise, you will soon see it's not wise spending a Thursday night copying notes and discussing for an IA. Actually, you should actually sleep early. Maybe Friday, there are usually those documents that you may not have anticipated. Those are the ones that you should be drafting. Then after you have failed, okay, yes, because you will have failed it, and I remember I think I failed one or two of them. But one, do not make it a habit for you every time you come out of an IA you have misfired. Think back, and you may be not doing something right, or you're not understanding the principles, or you're not interpreting the questions right. How do you overcome it? The truth is, you feel sad, you feel so disappointed, because it's almost, you feel as if you literally wasted your week. That's how you feel, which is not the case. And that's where the thing comes in, having a support system and having outlets. It's a Friday evening, maybe on Saturday evening, hang out with your friends, talk to your parents, whatever gives you peace, whatever gives you joy. And then also knowing that as much as you think you've failed, chances are high you've not gotten zero in the IA. Maybe, yeah. And if you look at, if you have actually, this is now another thing, somebody who has finished LDC and look at their results, it will give you a wake up call, because you need to see how even just one mark can save you. So don't beat yourself up. You didn't. Yeah, that's my advice.
Yeah, thank you, Linda. We can have Grace.
To begin with, preparing for IAs, I would very much concur with what Linda said. You cannot prepare for an IA on Thursday, or be it Friday morning. No, you're bound to fail. The preparation starts right from Saturday in the discussion you have. Sunday, start copying your notes immediately as soon as you can, because trust me, the week runs so fast. You may never know when the week ends. So the earlier you start copying your notes, the sooner you finish. Simply on Thursday, you'll be cross-checking with your other farm mates or with your colleagues in the other farms what you could have skipped in your farm, borrow it from the other farms, okay? So with Thursday, you are simply making final touches, but not necessarily preparing, as it has been called. So please do the preparations early enough, as early as Saturday. Copy your notes early enough, so that by Wednesday or Thursday, you have all the notes. You're simply going through the learning outcomes to confirm if you've left out any notes or not, or any documents that you may have missed out, or even corrections that may have been made by the PA in the course of going through the workshop. That's what you do on Thursday. Then for misfiring the IAs, personally, I would avoid postmortem. Once I moved out of the exam room and I would find a group of friends discussing the IA, I would distance myself. So to me, the only person I would do postmortem with, like I said, have your support system. So every Friday I would have a call from home just to check on me, just to ask how was the IA? Did you ace it or was it that bad? So I would simply tell them it was good or it was bad, and then we would move on. Then after the IA, what I would do, whether I've misfired or not, I would either get a movie or a series, watch, relax a bit, and sleep all throughout, and let that week go. Let bygones be bygones. Move on. You can't keep carrying that bad or negative energy into a new week. So whether you've aced the IA or you've misfired, it is gone. Okay? So please take every week as serious as you can. If you've misfired it, let that week go. Start a new week. You may compensate here or there, which may be hard in one or the other, but let the week go as it has gone. If you've misfired, it should be a driving factor for you to improve in the next IAs that you're going to come across, or even in the written exam, because you'll have it at the back of your mind.
Okay, thank you, Grace. Yeah, let's have a question from Morgan. 2 minutes to raise your question, and then Brian. Then we can proceed. So Morgan, first, your question in 2 minutes.
Thank you for this space. Actually, mine is not a question.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a small contribution. I've just been joking with Simon on Twitter, telling him that none of you guys is talking about beer, and it's good that someone talked about loosening up.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's very important that after having I know the pressure that comes with LDC itself. So somehow you need those light moments with friends. You need to laugh, by the way, like real laughing, laugh hard with friends, joke, make sure that you have lively people around you. So this is what we used to do with friends. I was working by the time I joined LDC. So every Friday after an IA, I would go back to office specifically to print my stuff. So I would go back to office, print all the cases, because they would share the reading materials by Thursday. If you have those head of subjects that are very serious, by Thursday you already have workshops. So I'll just go to office, print out all the stuff, then I make sure I catch up with my boys at exactly 7. We move around some of the bars around Kololo, drink up to around 2 a.m. in the night. Then we head back to our respective places. And we used to do that as a group. Again, it was a discussion group, most of the guys I was discussing with. So if we had a good night, obviously, by the time you come on Saturday, you're going to have fun in the discussion. Even after the discussion, you're going to enjoy it. But one thing that we really emphasized was preparation. That even immediate after the IA, make sure that you're ready for a Saturday discussion, and also after the Saturday discussion, you prepare for a Monday. So the whole idea is that you just need to manage your time very, very well, but also make sure that the pressure of LDC doesn't really eat you up, because it can consume you. At the end of the day, you fail just because of that pressure alone. So I think for me, that's it. Have fun. In fact, when I was joining, I asked one of my friends, but when I was asking them about LDC, she's a female, and she was telling me, I've never had any fun in my life like I did at LDC, and I didn't understand her until it was my time at LDC. I think I've never had any other fun apart from the fun I had at
Morgan.
LDC.
Now that I talk of beer, when should I come for at least a bottle of wine?
No, we take beer only. Men take beer.
Me, I take wine. Okay. Thank you so much.
I'll arrange with Simon and we meet over it.
If it is Wayne, if it's beer, no.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure. No worries.
Okay, thank you so much. Then let's have Brian, just your question in 2 minutes and we proceed. Thank you, Morgan, for your contribution. That was timely for us. Brian, please, your question in 2 minutes, then we go to another question. Well, I think Brian is off as he organizes himself. I had the other question I had was on sorry, I'm losing my questions. The other question we had was on preparing for that time towards our exams. Yeah, I understood. We have all shared that you prepared for them from day one, but then okay, day one has come, but then you have those 1 week or 2 weeks where I think you're no longer even studying, but you're just preparing for the oral exams, at least a week. So how did you get to prepare for them? That's the first bit. The second bit is after the first or second panel, or days after that panel where you feel out of the three questions I answered, I think I only got one. And how do you get up and say, Situka tutambule, come back to and hit the ground running because you have other things to do. So basically, I would prepare for the oral exams and briefly your experience of 500 oral experience on days when you had misfired from the panel and then you had to get on with life. So we'll start with Linda, then Grace will join in after. Thank you.
Okay. One, how to prepare for orals. Like I said, it starts from day one. You cannot learn the law through rumors, and when you do not know the law, you look so stupid in front of an oral panel. And there is this misconception that that orals have a lot to do with luck. I disagree. You only luck in orals if you increase your chances of. So read broadly. Then towards orals, they usually release a list of topics, that I think they also share with external examiners. Tick off one, and they share it about a month or two. Tick off one by one, read broadly, and also pay attention to the little things. You see, in orals, the truth is we are many. Okay, you are many, the panelists do not have a lot of time, so they're going to ask you nitty-gritty things that, for example, you overlooked. So those small things that, let me say, if it's family rules of an administrator, they even asked people for the, remember in the land panel, they asked people for the 10 years of land in Uganda. So it's those small things that usually overlook that they actually ask you for. But you only increase your chance of being asked something which you consider easy if you have read. So read widely. Then also towards oral, the assumption being that you started preparing early. The best mode is discussion, because when you discuss, you cover more, and usually it's high pressure discussion, so you cover wide areas in limited time compared to reading alone. And also the pressure gets so intense. I remember they released our oral timetable that day before, can imagine. So that means up to that point you had to be reading alternative books. At that point, somehow you're even lying to yourself. So if you've not been preparing from the start, orals will be tough. Then also discuss, and when you're in discussion group, do not keep quiet. People are different. If you know that maybe you're not that eloquent, start. We are blessed differently, but some of those abilities you learn along the way. So start speaking, speak more in discussion, speak more in class. The more you speak the law, the more orals will be easier. That's my answer.
Yeah, thank you. That was very insightful. Yeah. So report please.
Well,
So
so
just Linda, you didn't tell us when those oral exams when you have misfired. That's a part of the question.
When you have misfired in an oral exam,
And then you have to push. You have to keep up prepare for the other oral exam. Yes.
Oh yeah, you have to move on. By the way, oral's time, I remember those 4 weeks. Just like somebody has said before, this a time we surprisingly had a lot of fun during oral's time. Yeah. Get this group of people that you're going to do orals with. What do I mean? I know some people don't like postmortem or anything, but after your oral panel and you realize you have messed up, just go laugh about it, laugh about the fake answer that you gave and move on. Because if you dwell in the past, then how will you face the next panel? You will face it while shivering, which won't help you. So yeah, move on quick.
Yeah, thank you. Move on after. We're going Grace. Grace, now you may chip in with your take. Thank you. Thank you, Linda.
Yeah, so my experience when it came to orals, I didn't actually find them that hard as I was previously told. To me, I actually had fun while in that tent waiting for the orals for each panel that I faced. Because one, you look at one of your colleague coming out of the panel and they just do something funny, they experience in there. Like Linda said, you laugh about it and prepare for your turn. But the easiest way that I would advise one on how to pass orals is be open-minded. You're going to bury yourself in that book, you're going to read Transnight, you're going to read right from first day of the note you started copying, in that you'll even start getting confused and you just close the book on your own. So simply have an open mind when you go there, because you'll be asked questions that you least expected and questions that are very easy for you to answer. But because you've instilled this fear in you and you know it is an exam, I must excel, I must answer correctly, you lose marks for even the lightest questions that you have been asked. So have an open mind, expect anything from all angles. But the only way you're able to answer is if you have been preparing right from day one, like we have said. Orals, before you go in for the orals, once the list of topics that you expect to be examined upon is released, they will also release the marking areas, the key points that they'll be looking out while you're answering your questions. And one of them is demeanor, your posture, your ability to speak. All those are free marks for you to earn during orals. They will not only consider the correct answers, but even just your looks. How do you look? How do you sit? How do you position yourself? Do you answer your questions while looking at the roof, or can you keep eye contact with the panelists? So all those are areas for you to explore before you even start thinking of answering the oral exam. You have 3 questions in that room. Maximize each question. Do not simply rush to answer. Think before you speak. Then when it comes to misfiring, in case you have misfired a question in the orals, like Linda said, do not beat yourself about it. It is not the end. It is not the only mark that has to help you pass in that exam. You cannot score 100% at LDC. But yet again, if you feel you have misfired probably all the 3 questions, yeah, you may feel a bit disappointed, you may feel down, but when the written exam comes, please reflect back and recall, okay, I misfired in this exam, what should I do? I have to compensate, meaning you have to work twice harder than you should have in order for you to compensate the marks you missed during orals. But please, in whatever you do, do not leave the marks for orals to pass by you. At least they'll be the ones that will help you to pull up your marks. With the written exam, you can never tell, anything can go wrong. But with the oral exams, you can at least redeem yourself. Okay, like I said, there are a lot of factors that are considered during the orals. Your demeanor should be the first. So please, oral should not be as hard as you may hear. Yes, you may have past questions to go through, but have an open mind at the end of the day. Go there expecting anything. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So I think I have only now 2 questions. How there are those times I'm going to join them, then we can have I
I
have more
see.
theory. I hope there are no more
And
others coming.
okay,
Just a
Grace,
minute.
you can.
Hmm? Yes,
I see
yes.
you're still on.
No, let me first. No,
Please
she's done.
unmute.
So I was the Grace. I don't see her. Is she on? So as Grace unmutes, I think the other question was there are days. I'm sure maybe you had one of those days when you felt overwhelmed with the course, like that if it was within yourself, just give up on it. Like how would you overcome such feelings? And then let's start that with reaching the final exams. How you prepared for the final exams? After now, you have all the IAs, the orals. Now you rush the final exams. Preparation in terms of how you prepare your acts, which you're going to use, your notes, basically general preparation for your final exams. And then I think we can have other questions. So I'll start with, let me start with Grace this time, then Linda will come after. Grace, please, those days when you felt like overwhelmed with the course and wanted to give up, how did you go about it? And then how did you prepare for the final exams?
So for whenever I felt overwhelmed throughout the course, backing out was not an option. Because one, I would look back at the 4 years I've spent at LLB.
Simon, Alfred, can you guys hear me out?
Yes, we can hear you. Grace, please proceed.
Okay, so like I was saying, giving up was never an option to me. Because one, by the time you have reached third term of LDC, you have endured all the first and second term. So why would you want to give up along the way? So each time I would feel like I'm overwhelmed, I would simply take a pause. Like I said, there are several nights that I would actually cry alone in my room. It so happened on certain occasions. Whenever I would feel like it's too much, I would simply cry. Eventually, I would console myself and get back up again and continue. Then, two, like we said, manage the stress levels. Find something that can help you relieve or re-energize. To me, I would watch movies whenever I would feel like it is too much, I can't read. I would at least watch a movie or two, relax my brain. Then when I feel I'm fresh, I would get up and grab a book and continue with the reading. So those days really do happen, but find what works for you. It may be different. If hanging out or going to the bar works for you, then go out, breathe some fresh air, go with your friends, have a laugh or two about something, go for quiz nights, have a beer or two, come back, re-energize, get up tomorrow and continue. So find a mechanism, find something that can work for you. Then when it comes to preparing for exams, like we've been emphasizing from the beginning of this space, preparation for LDC starts right from day one. If you have not been copying your notes in first term, you have a lot of missing gaps. You may not get the time for you to fill up those gaps in third term when you're preparing for the written exam. So let it be incumbent upon you that the minute you have started this first week, ensure that you begin your preparations for the written exam. You shouldn't wait for third term for you to start preparing for LDC because there are no second chances if you want to leave LDC on first attempt. Let everything be final. If it is the IA, sit for it like it is the final exam. If it is copying your notes, sit for it like that week will never come back. So to me, I prepared for the exam right from day one. I made sure I didn't have any notes missing. I didn't have any documents missing. If I had any, I would utilize the holiday to ensure that I fill up the gaps that I have. But preparing for exams on the last day, you're going to break down, you're going to panic, you're going to have all emotions running down, and you may end up misfiring. So please, to save yourself from all that, start from day one of your preparation at LDC. When you reach the final exam, everything will be smooth. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That Linda, please, you may keep in.
Yes. So let me start preparing for the final exam. Towards your final exams, if you have been a consistent student from get-go, you should just be organizing your notes. What do I mean? Remember when I said when you reach that term, you notice that most of your first term notes are, your first week first term notes or second week are not up to standard. Yes, restructure and add them to those notes, or get like a book. Redraft some of the documents that you drafted badly. Usually, the PAs organize sessions where, you know, they emphasize certain things, and maybe, for example, and usually the head of subject gives one position if maybe there have been contradicting positions. So make sure you
Alfred,
organize your
can
notes.
you hear Linda?
Yes, I
You
can
can't
hear.
hear me.
Please, I can hear Linda. I'm Sibu and Peter. Please, and please, what? Mute your microphones. Peter and Brian, please mute your mics. Linda, you may proceed.
Yes, so I had stopped on organizing your notes, make sure they're easy to find in the final exam. Then you should also make consultations on which notes will be allowed in the exam room. I remember a week towards our exams, most of us had those photocopied compendiums that you buy from the printer, and we were told to dismantle each and every one of them. Yeah, one have original statutes or dismantle. So you can imagine a week to exams were unstapling and doing all that. So most like, I think you should reach out to your peers to find out. In case you don't get the opportunity of knowing what will be allowed, just take it with the grace it comes with. It's quite disheartening. It was quite disheartening for us, but yeah, that is what it was, and we had to dismantle, and that's what we went into the exams. Then, yeah, like Rosa said, final preparation for your third term exam is not for copying notes. Yeah, it's really not. So start from now. Copy your notes. At that point, you only be required to organize them and make them easy to find for yourself. Then the other question on feelings of being overwhelmed, and this is where I go back to your why. You have to know why you're doing LDC and why you have to do your very best. Yeah. Remember, I talked about not fixating on failing LDC or passing LDC. Now, at this point, the moment you feel like you have you're done, you're tired, yeah, just think about the day results will come out. Think about which side you want to be on, yeah. Things to do when you feel overwhelmed, apart from, remember, you have to be consistent, and consistency doesn't mean you're able to do what you want all the time. No. Sometimes you just have to push. Remember, you have to go the extra mile, yeah. Write proper notes even when you're tired. Then take a break, but not for too long, because the moment you miss even a week at LDC, you will never get back that week, by the way. Even if you lie to yourself that you're reading holidays, things will keep on piling up, and then you'll be that overwhelmed person towards exams, and you have like 3 weeks which you understand, which is completely, you'll be a total mess. So when you feel like you are overwhelmed, take a day. I'm not saying take a day off, but of course attend class, but just go easy on yourself, but make sure you do not pass another day when you're in that state. Yeah, that's my advice.
Okay, thank you. Gift, you have, I'm supposed to close this space at around 15 minutes past 9 because the time is fast spent and we started a bit late. So, Gift, you have 2 minutes to either, I don't know what you want to share with us, but kindly use 3 minutes to share with us before we go to with the final remarks from the speakers.
Thank you, Alfred. I definitely concur with what Chris and Linda have shared. Personally, I knew I struggle with anxiety, right? So preparation ahead of time was key for me. And the gym also helped. I wasn't so much of a gym person until I joined LDC. And LDC doesn't give much time for sulking, so you don't have time to sit down with your emotions. You may create that time, but you may not have as much of that time. So you have to be solution oriented. So try going to the gym, try taking walks. If you feel overwhelmed, your support system. Create a support system, people who you're going to be able to share with how you're feeling. Definitely people who are doing the course as well, because they may be able to, hold you down and hold your hand and, encourage you to keep pushing, because everyone might be going through it at that time. But you have to be solution oriented. You have to find what works for you. Then, in regards to preparing for finals, I definitely concur with everything that Linda and Grace have shared. Yeah, thank you, Alfred.
Yeah, thank you, Gift. Kati fawata sola gym tugendewa. Anyway, thank you for sharing. Then I have one question, and then we should climb with the final remarks. I think towards the after the final exams, and students always have challenges looking for clerkship placements, and the clerkship placements come in a time where you're applying for final exams, but at the same time you're ahead of a clerkship placement. So you could share with us your experience towards that time, of maybe how you even secured your clerkship placement, if it's not true personal, and then we have still the parting shots from you, and we can have the close spaced. So you have, I think, 5 minutes each, and then we can really close the space. Thank you. I'll start with the Grace. Grace, are you still on? Oh, my question was not I don't know.
Alfred, we had your question.
Yes.
Should I share?
Yeah, please share.
Okay. So, clerkship placements. I was one of the people who said, I'm going to throw my clerkship applications to all these different, law firms that I wanted to be a part of, the law firms that you see, uh, the law firms that you really want to be a part of, I would say. Let me put it that way. And I made sure to apply to over 10 law firms. Yeah. And I would say, I think just 2 called me back. And of which, even the 2 that called back, I did not get in. There are other options, obviously. You can consider NGOs. Usually, the head Bacchus shares a list of placement areas that you can consider. So you don't just apply anywhere. Personally, I wanted to do clerkship from a law firm. So that's why I chose to apply to different law firms. All I can say is, if you know people in different law firms, like you have contacts in various law firms or any placement area that you want to get into, reach out to them first before you I would say, I don't want to say waste time but for lack of a better word, I'm going to say that before you waste time applying to various places where you might not get in. So if you have contacts, first utilize those. If you know Alfred on a personal level, reach out to him, inquire from him. Hello, how can I get into this place? If you know Gift from somewhere, reach out to her. How can I get into this place? Before you apply to different areas, seek guidance. Seek guidance from maybe your peers, people you know first. Reach out to your contacts and get that information first. Then, if that has failed, pray and then apply to all these other places that you want to get into, and maybe they could pick you on merit as well. But my advice would be, if you have a contact in a particular space that you want to get into, utilize those spaces. If you have networked right now, reach out to those contacts and inquire. Yeah, thank you very much, Alfred.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Gift. Linda, are you able to talk? Your mic has been on.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry, actually. I didn't know my mic was on. Um,
Hey,
yes.
okay.
Yeah. I think Gift has summarized it well, especially the flagship.
So since Gift has summarized the flagship, then we can have your parting shots.
Yes, exactly. So that's
Mm,
spoken very well.
okay.
Yeah, thank you, Alfred, for moderating this session. Thank you, Judicial Sound Exponent, for giving us the opportunity to speak, for inviting us, and also for the things that you're doing for the listeners. Like I said, you can only know how beneficial these sessions are when you have once been on the other end. And trust me, for me, they were beneficial. And for people that are still listening, even 2 hours later, it means that they may have picked one or two things. For the people listening, remember, there is only so much you can control. Yeah, you can only control how much effort you're putting into LBC. You cannot control the outcome. Yeah, but if you give it your ultimate best, then you will get results. That's for sure. Just
Linda, we have lost you. I don't know. Linda, we have lost you a bit, but I think you had shared your parting shots. Grace, can we have your parting shots and we call it an evening? Well, I think also maybe Grace could be having network issues, but I think all has been said. I don't have anything much to add. Maybe I would encourage those on the space and those who have not, those who are on the space, thank you for being on until to this point. For your colleagues who have not joined, you can share the link with them. And I think there will be a recording of the space. For my other insights, social parting shots, follow the Dear Young Layer series. Was and when God leads or when the Spirit leads, I will share what I would have wanted to share with you. I wish you all the best in your lion hunt. Over to you, Judicial Exponent. Thank you so much, Gift, Linda, Grace. I wanted to buy you gifts, but Bruno has said that he's going to sort all your bills for coming to the space. So when Bruno is my senior in these things and with money issues, when he says something, sina vyengatako. Thank you so much. Over to you, Judicial Sound Exponent. Simon, are you on? Simon, are you on? Well, I think the host could be having also network challenges, but that's all for the evening. Because you may leave at your leisure. Simon, did you sound exponent? I don't know. I don't want to close your space. But I think that's all for the evening. I would just encourage you to, we will have the recording shared. So kindly share it with your colleagues to listen in. And even you have joined the space, you can always get back to this recording. I know several things have
Hello?
been shared.
Yes, I'm on, Alfred.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, please
No.
take
I
over.
was just switching off the devices. Thank
Okay.
you
You
very
may
much,
proceed.
Alfred,
Oh, I
for
don't know whether Grace
moderating.
wants to speak. Was
I see she's
just a minute. I don't know
asking
whether Grace.
for. Let me give
Yeah,
her a
Grace,
mic.
let's have your parting shots.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you
Mm.
so much. You've done great with moderating this session. Thank you so much, everyone who cared to join us this evening. I believe that everyone has learned.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, since you're back, Grace, let's have your parting shots. Yeah, thank you. Glad you're back. Then you can hand over to your son. Please proceed.
Okay, so a big thank you to Judicial Sound Exponent, to you, Alfred, Simon, and to all the listeners who have tuned in, the various speakers that have contributed. We can't thank you enough. This platform, I'm sure, has a very big impact that it creates to those who are joining LDC. To those who have joined LDC, please do everything in your power. It may not necessarily be what worked for us, but find something that will make you leave LDC on first attempt. You can always do it. If we have done it, if all the advocates in this country have gone through LDC and have excelled, you are not any different. You can always make it. So please give it your best shot. Like your life depends on it, but it should not consume you in the process. Find ways of you living LDC alive, please. With that, I would want to wish you a very good evening and thank you for tuning in tonight. Have a good night.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good night. Yeah, even me. With that, you can follow the Diagonal series. Over to the Sound Exponent. Have a good night.
Thanks again. Again to you, Alfred. Thank you, Linda and Grace, and all the participants. Thank you. I think it has been engaging. From me, Bright, Natmanya, and Simon, what we can't really add much, but try as much as possible to engage with outside world, like from LDC. Engage with law firms, for instance, if you want to start, to look out for a placement. Start engaging. Now, from this platform, we have so many people who are working. You could connect on Twitter. Internet nowadays has really done great. And look out for these law firms, look out for these members, and start from there. Alfred, Grace, Linda, anyone can connect you somewhere. They believe you can further your learning. But we wish you the best at LDC. You can always reach out. We are glad and happy that we can have individuals like Linda and Grace to come and give this free advice. People pay for such information, but we are glad. Thank you. Thanks again to our speakers this evening. So to the members at LDC, someone advised that don't die with a problem. Speak up. You can ask for assistance. You can ask for help. At Judicial Sound Exponent, we are here to try as much as possible to assist as well. So any concerns, any issues, you can raise them and we can always across the community, across and Uganda Law Society as well. So we want to thank you again and we want to wish you a good night and always check out our Twitter page. We normally hold such events which might benefit you as well and further your learning. Thank you and wish you the best at LDC and success. Thank you.
Welcome to UK.
From the Judicial Sound Exponent team, we wish you a good night and thank you for attending. Bye.